Do you know what would have happened if it had been three wise women instead of three wise men? They would have asked directions, arrived on time, helped deliver the baby, cleaned the stable, made a casserole, and brought a practical gifts. Just a joke. Dear friends in Jesus Christ, at the center of today's feast is the story of a journey. Matthew, at the beginning of his gospel, tells us the story of a journey made by the Magi from the east towards Judea in search of the newborn king of the Jews. Matthew may have imagined these travelers as coming from a long way east because Magi were originally associated with Persia. In Matthew's account, these Magi were guided on their very long journey by a star, which was different from all other stars in the sky. There was something about this star which called them to set out on this long journey westwards. The most dangerous moments in their long journey came just as they were within striking distance of their destination. In Jerusalem, a short distance from Bethlehem, they were summoned by King Herod the Great, a man known to us from historical sources to have been very hostile towards anyone who might be threat to his power, even a newborn child whom some were recognizing as the king of the Jews, the Jewish Messiah. Yet, in spite of that dangerous movement, the Magi were led by the star to their destination, Bethlehem, where they worshipped the child and gave him their gifts. On their homeward journey, they were guided again, this time by means of a dream. In their dream, God directed them to go home by a different route, not via Jerusalem, where they were likely to meet up with Herod again. In some way, the story of these exotic visitors from the East is a story for each one of us. Our lives as Christians can be understood as a journey, a sacred journey, a pilgrimage. In fact, according to the Acts of the Apostles, from very early days, Christians were known as the followers of the way. We are people who are following a way, and the way we are trying to follow is the way of Jesus, the way of the one who said about himself, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The Magi were guided on their journey by a star which stood out from all other stars in the sky. We too are guided on our journey by a light which stands out from all other sources of light we come across. We are guided by the one who said of himself, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in the darkness. On this earthly pilgrimage, which we travel together, We don't chart on our course. Rather, like the Magi, we allow ourselves to be led. We submit to a light beyond us, which is greater than any light within us. We look towards the one who has traveled the journey before us and who guides us and leads us on our journey rather than on our journey. In other words, of the letter to the Hebrews, using the image of the race rather than the journey, we run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. Like the Magi, we too meet with obstacles on our shared journey. Some version or other of a Herod can stand before us to deflect us from our journey. Jesus was very aware of that, even though he would ever present to his followers as their light and as their guide, they would be tempted by evil under various manifestations. That is why he taught us to pray, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Yes, dear friends, in Jesus Christ, I like the background noise. Yes, dear friends, in Jesus Christ, yet in spite of Herod, the Magi reached their destination and returned home safely. On our journey too, as St. Paul reminds, it is always the case that where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. At the end of our journey, the Magi worshipped the child. The giving of their gifts was but an outward expression of their worship, their homage. On our own journey too, will end in worship, the worship of God and of His Son in heaven forever. Every act of worship on the way, in particular, our Eucharistic worship, is an anticipation of that eternal worship before the throne of God and the Lamb. Our Eucharistic worship overflows into our daily lives where it takes the form of offerings of ourselves to the Lord, the giving of the gift of our mind, our heart, our soul, and strength in love to the Lord. Today, we look in gratitude towards the Magi, these outsiders from far away, because they show us the fundamental shape of our lives as a Christians. God bless you, and thank you.